Welcome to Spa-Francorchamps and the second meeting of the 2017 Euroformula Open season. Harrison Scott, our double winner in Estoril a month ago. Will he triumph around this legendary circuit? Two races to look forward to this weekend. The first 13-lapper underway in a few moments' time as we hit the one-quarter mark of the season. We join myself, Ben Evans, on an absolutely sweltering day here in the Ardennes. 29 degrees centigrade, not a cloud to be seen in the sky. And therefore, this is going to be hot and hard work for the drivers. Also, not much of a breeze either. The spectators picking their preferred spots to watch the action from the Euroformula Open. It was a very close qualifying session earlier on, which was eventually headed by Harrison Scott, who will then share the front row of the grid with Amaya Weidenathan, clear of Nikita Troitsky and Devlin De Francesco. It really is Scott who is the man to beat. Comfortably leading the championship coming out of Estoril, where he's scored comfortable victories in both races. Will he be able to keep that winning streak going here at Spa? Well, this circuit maybe it's a little bit easier to overtake on than the twists and turns of Estoril, but nonetheless, if you can get out front early on, it's going to be challenging to chase you down. There is the driver who's second in the championship going to the weekend, Janus Fitcher, the German in the Fortec car, and he lines up in 10th place. Just behind him is Thiago Vivacqua. Sixth in standing then Daniel Pranenko, the Russian driver for the BVM team, having had a very frustrating trip to Portugal. Two non-finishes at the opening event of the season. And Pranenko also lining up 17th for today's race. So he has got plenty of work to do over the course of the afternoon as the cars beginning to form up on the grid. When we do get underway, it is of course a 13-lap race, although if we have a lengthy safety car hiatus, then we could revert to the 35-minute time limit. The pit lane having opened a moment ago, of course, it's a fairly long installation lap around the 7-kilometre circuit. But there is our pole sitter, Harrison Scott, just looking to pick his way through to the front of the field. And exciting news, of course, coming between Estoril and now is that Scott has sealed the deal with the RP Motorsport team to see him through this full Euroformula Open campaign. Therefore, he certainly got his championship charge off to the very best possible start. You see the Michelin Chaude car trying to halt the RP Motorsport mechanics, just getting to work, checking the tyre pressures. To make any last-minute adjustments based on maybe how much the track has warmed up in the intervening period since qualifying this morning. Already the heat haze you can see shimmering off the grid. Second place car of Amaya Weidenathan also having just come into position for the Carlin team. Weidenathan, who was runner-up in the first race of the season, actually pushed Harrison Scott all the way in that first race. Scott just taking a little bit of momentary respite in the shade. There then is Amaya Weidenathan. One of two Indian drivers running with the Carlin Motorsport team this season. And Weidenathan comes into the weekend third in the championship standings, although of course very early stages in terms of the championship fight. Third on the grid then for the DriveX team and Nikita Troitsky, who had pole position for race 2 in Estoril, but wasn't quite able to convert it into the result he would have wanted. And then fourth on the grid for the second of the Carlin cars, that's the Canadian Devlin De Francesco, who's made the step up from the British Formula 4 Championship into the Euroformula Open for this season. Third row of the grid is an all-Campos Racing one, and Mateus Iorio, the reigning Brazilian Formula 3 champion, lines up in 5th position, and then it's his compatriot Thiago Vivacqua who will start from the outside of row 3. Vacqua runner-up in race 2. Nestor lost about having non-finished in race 1. Terran Reddy starts in 7th to complete the strong qualifying for the Carlin team. Reddy, who comes into this weekend with the best result of 8th from the season so far, having been in the wars in race 1 in Portugal. And then completing the 4th row of the grid is Alex Karkozic in the RP Motorsport car. Now, I'm really interested to see how Karkozic goes this weekend, because he was really all out of luck in the opening event of the season, having been caught out on a couple of occasions in other people's accidents. So he will be hoping to press through. Here's a look then at the grid in full. Harrison Scott and Amaya Vaidanaithan on the front row. Row 2, Nikita Troitsky and Devlin De Francesco. Very strong quartet at the front of the field. Row 3, Mateus Iorio and Tiago Vivacqua, clear of Terran Reddy and Alex Karkozic. The top 10 then to be completed by Pedro Cardoso in the Teo Marti Motorsport entry, and Yanis Fitia in the first of the Fortec cars from Simon Laxonen and Eliseo Martinez Morono. Petru Florescu completes the Campos runners down in 13th, ahead of Lodovico Loreni. It's a very warm welcome back to Alexei Chuklin in the Fortec car, and then Daniel Pranenko completes the field just behind Christian Hahn. It's the grid beginning to be cleared. Just the last couple of mechanics remaining with the umbrellas, keeping the drivers shaded to the last moment, and then also to make sure that they safely fire up. Spoke with Harrison Scott earlier on after qualifying. He was saying that the real challenge for this race for him is going to be the start, because what he wants is a good run out of La Source. That means that he's not pressurised going down the Kemmel Straight for the first time into Les Combes, which is really where there's a big risk for the pole sitter of losing the lead, given the amount of slipstream that's available to the drivers along the steady and lengthy uphill climb of the Kemmel Straight towards Les Combes. So that's going to be part of the challenge for Harrison Scott. For Amaya Vaidanaithan, it'll be a case of whether or not he can jump the RP Motorsport car. And then for Nikita Troitsky and Devlin De Francesco, it's a case of translating the pace they've shown in qualifying into a consistent performance over the course of the 13 laps. Of course, the Spa circuit, one that they always want to impress at, because this is a track that they will be hoping to race on one day in Formula 1. And certainly in IndyCar racing this year, we have seen the real success of the Euroformula Open, the 2013 champion Ed Jones making his Indianapolis 500 debut tomorrow afternoon. And so the very best of luck to Ed from everybody in the Euroformula Open paddock. It's the last couple of handshakes completed. So the grid just about clear, ready for the third race of the Euroformula Open season. The cars will have one further tour of the Spa-Francorchamps circuit before they come back to the grid, form up, and then get released for the race. Just waiting for the last couple of signals to be given before they are waved on their way. Just looking from the commentary box position, see if we've got anybody who's possibly counts a bit of an issue. No, we haven't. Green flag is waved and away we go. It's Harrison Scott in the black nose coned with the orange piping and silver RP Motorsport car leads away the royal blue Carlin Motorsport car of Amaya Vaidanaithan. Let's head into the tight La Source hairpin before the plunge downhill towards Eau Rouge and Radiant, one of the best known sequences of corners anywhere in global motorsport. Certainly an exhilarating part of the track for the drivers. They climb steeply out of Eau Rouge, up over the crest at Radiant, and then down the Kemmel Straight, which seems to have gone for an absolute eternity. Now this is where we'll have some of the best overtaking opportunities as the race unfolds, because as the camera angle just shows you there, it's a steady uphill climb. Punching the hole in the air for the lead car gives the opportunity for those behind to slipstream, and then we've got the heavy braking zone into Les Combes. The track's plenty wide enough and you can slip through. Field then begin to plunge downhill towards the Bruxelles hairpin. Of course, all of them running in the Dallara F312 chassis. They all have the control compound Michelin tyre, which really allows them to race as the afternoon unfolds. And as ever in the Euroformula Open, we've got the control engine, other control parts supplied by the championship promoters, the GT Sport organisation, which just helps to ensure a level playing field and also allows the budgets to be that little bit more affordable to drivers, which is why we have such a healthy grid year after year in the championship. Pack running down through the double left-hander at Podium, which can always catch out the unwary out towards the furthest extremities of the circuit, heading on towards Fagnes and Stavelot before then the blast and the very quick Blanchimont section and back towards the pits. Be interesting to see the progress from the third row of the grid as both Mateus Iorio and Tiago Vivacqua, two very highly rated Brazilians. Iorio last year claimed the Brazilian Formula 3 Championship with 10 victories to his credit in just 16 races, was on the podium 14 times. Tiago Vivacqua was fourth in the same championship, 6 trips to the rostrum for him, but the difference being between the pair of them, Vivacqua has also campaigned in Europe in Formula 1 and 2 Elite racing before, 2015, and so he will know this Spa-Francorchamps circuit from his Euro Cup days. Harrison Scott just heading towards the bus stop chicane, and that will then feed them back onto the start and finish straight. Then it'll be eyes to the gantry getting ready for the start of the race. Scott just blips the engine, tries to just get the Michelin tyre to the perfect temperature for the start of the race. It's a short sprint towards La Source, but then you want to be able to really push through Les Combes, in particular under that first heavy braking zone. As you can see, all the cars running at minimal rear wing downforce. They want to be as effective as possible in a straight line, take full advantage of the slipstream. It will mean, though, that things can be a little bit precarious through the middle sector. It's the front of the field rolling into their positions. It's all eyes to the monitors in the Teo Martin Motorsport pit box. The same in the Carlin Racing garage. As Daniel Pranenko takes his time to roll to a halt, which he does now. So you get the signal from the back of the pack. We're about to go racing for the third time this season in the Euroformula Open. The lights come on, the revs rise, and away we go. It's a brilliant start from Harrison Scott, also well away from Nikita Troitsky, who may just get the jump here on Amea Weidenheithen as they squabble towards La Source for the first time. Scott leads, Weidenheithen second, Troitsky third, to Francesco in fourth, running very wide further back. Petru Floresco, I think also Alexei Chuklin caught up in part of that as Scott and Weidenheithen fight for the lead. The fight for third yet to be resolved. One of the Campos cars challenging De Francesco's, two of them running very wide and both leaping into the air. And that is Alex Karkozic and also Pedro Cardoso just behind him. They both came down with a bump, having run wide, as Harrison Scott comes under pressure from Weidenheithen into Les Combes for the first time. No change between the leading duo. Sought out for third. Troitsky pushed to Francesco out very, very wide. Then it is Tiago Vivacqua from Mateus Iorio. And they've got Tarun ready just behind them. Christian Hahn, having made a fantastic start. He's up into 8th, just ahead of Janus Fitcher, as field swooped down through the Bruxelles hairpin already. The leading duo have got the jump on De Francesco in third. Everybody else queuing up behind them. Certainly the first lap unfolding exactly as Harrison Scott would have wanted it to, having seen off that early pressure from Amea Weidenheithen. Quite how Alex Karkozic and Pedro Cardoso are able to keep going, I don't know, because they really got launched pretty high off the curbs. It's now Devlin De Francesco under pressure from Nikita Troitsky. This is the fight for third and fourth. They have got Mateus Thiago Vivacqua just behind them. There's Matteo Siorio, turn ready, Christian Hahn, Janusz Fitcher. There's Alex Karkozik. He currently completes the top 10 ahead of Pedro Cardoso. As they swing in towards Blanchimont, this fight for third, which is the one that's most likely to change imminently, as the Drivex car of Nikita Troitsky looks to line up the move on the Carlin Motorsport car of Devlin De Francesco. De Francesco, though, is going to cover the inside line into the bus stop chicane, and Troitsky not quite close enough to pull the pin. Tries to see if he can force the Canadian into a slight mistake. De Francesco slithers slightly wide. He's not the only one to do that. Christian Hahn also does the same and comes under pressure as a result on the exit from Karkozik, as Troitsky again looks to line up the move on De Francesco. Devlin De Francesco covers the middle of the road as they head into La Source. We've got one car into the pit lane. I rather fear that's Alexei Chuklin in the second of the Fortec cars. Indeed it is. The race leader Harrison Scott heads through Eau Rouge for the second time of asking. Weidenreuther may not be quite close enough to challenge down the Kemmel Straight this time around. The same can't be said in the fight for third, or indeed the fight for sixth, or indeed the fight for 11th, which seems to include the remainder of the field. That said, Weidenreuther's got a good toe of Harrison Scott, and Scott has to defend from Amaya Weidenreuther. Through Les Combes they go, then down towards the Bruxelles hairpin. What about the battle for third? We'll see momentarily, and it is still just Devlin De Francesco ahead of Nikita Troitsky. Wonderful racing this in the early stages, which is exactly what we'd have hoped for in a brutally hot afternoon here as well in Spa. Karkozik has got Simo Laaksonen just behind him. Now here is, look at what happened for Alexei Chuklin. We just moved across into the pits, possibly tagged Lodovico Laurini's nose cone as a result. So the Carlin team watching the monitors, tracking the progress of their drivers, all of whom are going well. Weidenreuther second, De Francesco in third, turn ready currently in sixth. They've got the jump on Matteo Siorio. Already the field coming out of Stavelot on towards Blanchimont. It's a high-speed blast. Again, Nikita Troitsky trying to line up the move on Devlin De Francesco, but he can't do it into Blanchimont. And really, it's going to be down the Kemmel Straight. We're going to see these challenges unfolding. This time round, De Francesco again, just slightly offline. Now there's a look on the front, first lap of the race, flying in the air. Alex Karkozik, the same Pedro Cardoso. This was sought out between Trotsky and De Francesco. Another look at the moment for Alexei Chuklin. Yeah, just think Lodovico Laurini was possibly in his blind spot. And he may well not have seen the Italian in his mirrors until a little bit too late. Meanwhile, there's a good chance here for Weidenreuther to challenge Harrison Scott as they swoop out of Radion. Matteo Siorio trying to wave turn ready through, but it's this fight for lead the race as Weidenreuther draws alongside Harrison Scott. And Weidenreuther takes the advantage and uses the toe to great effect to lead the race as they swing through Les Combes for the third time of asking. He rehearsed it on the first couple of laps, and now he makes it stick on lap 3 as they run downhill towards Bruxelles. It's Devlin De Francesco in third, fourth is Nikita Troitsky, fifth Thiago Vivacqua, sixth is Tarun Reddy, and then seventh should be Matteo Siorio. There is Thiago Vivacqua in fifth, in pursuit of Nikita Troitsky. Now, Harrison Scott hasn't been headed in the race so far this year, except for the first lap in race 1 at Estoril. What can he do? Drivex team consulting the monitors. Their man Troitsky is in fourth. Pedro Cardoso last time round, there he is, in 8th place in the Teo Martin Motorsport car, having just set the fast lap of the race. In 8th place, in the tow behind Matteo Siorio. So an intriguing race in prospect. It's Tarun Reddy in 6th, heads his trainer cars out to Stavelot. It's blast down the back stretch towards Blanchimont. Weidenreuther leads, Harrison Scott is second, Devlin De Francesco in third. 4th place for Nikita Troitsky, 5th Thiago Vivacqua, 6th Taran Reddy, 7th Mateus Iorio. Iorio unable to change that on that occasion into the bus-stop chicane. Then it's Pedro Cardoso, Janis Fitcher and Alex Karkozik completes the top 10. So Mayer Weidenreuther having had a very good lap. 1.1 seconds his advantage over Harrison Scott as they came across lines. They run down out of La Source. Weidenreuther is actually stretching clear of Harrison Scott, and there's no way that Scott's going to be close enough to challenge the Indian as they come out of Radion down the Kemmel Straight this time around. Mayer Weidenreuther, who raced in British Formula 3 last year, also finished 15th in the Euroformula Open Championship. He's putting his rookie year experience to very good effect in the early stage of the 2017 campaign. Challenge behind that's Eliseo Martinez Morono, looking to the inside of the dark blue Drivex car of Christian Hahn, but there's no way through for Martinez Morono. There's Harrison Scott. Second place is now going to have to start considering the progress of Devlin De Francesco as Alex Karkozik looks to the outside of Janis Fitcher. German, though, able to stand the pressure of the Polish driver as Pedro Cardoso going really well, pressurising Mateus Iorio. Cardoso just sliding out a little bit wide. 2015 South American Formula 4 champion, Pedro Cardoso. In 8th place, trying to make it even more than that. Fitcher and Karkozik trying to close up, and Mayer Weidenreuther now the owner of the fastest lap of the race. Not unsurprisingly, you can see the ground that he's beginning to build over Harrison Scott. Devlin De Francesco and Nikita Troitsky still running in tandem. Question mark about whether or not a pair of them, if they work together, can do something about reeling in Harrison Scott in 2nd position. Weidenreuther navigates the bus-stop chicane, so does Scott, so does De Francesco, so does Troitsky. Fast lap of the race again for Weidenreuther, 2 minutes 15.9. De Francesco goes even quicker, and Nikita Troitsky goes quicker still. So now it's Troitsky who's the quickest driver in the race, taking advantage of the tow, as they've got the Michelin tyres working exactly as they want them to. Out of the hairpin, down towards Eau Rouge. It's Devlin De Francesco going to be close enough to take any sort of benefit from Harrison Scott's tow. That camera angle maybe just shortens things up a little bit. Find out as they run down the Kemmel Straight. There is the race leader, Weidenreuther. 2nd place, Harrison Scott. Certainly De Francesco in 3rd, a little bit closer. The move is the one behind us. Pedro Cardoso forces the defensive manoeuvre from Mateus Iorio, also Alex Karkozik. Securing 9th place on Janis Fitcher. Nothing Fitcher could do to fight back. And they've got Simo Laaksonen in 11th place, just behind, trying to chase them down as well. On to the 5th of 13 laps, so we've still got plenty of running to go. It's really this fight for 2nd, whether or not it comes together, that's intriguing. Also, the progress of Pedro Cardoso, who's asking all the right questions, and Mateus Iorio as they swing down through Pouhon. Oh, the change for 3rd. Nikita Troitsky has made the move on Devlin De Francesco. We missed the start of it. We just caught the end of it as Cardoso looked to challenge. There you see, there's Troitsky, the SMP livery Drivex car, head of the blue Carlin machine. Iorio still just got the advantage over Pedro Cardoso, so some positions constantly changing. All of this is good news for the race leader, Mayer Weidenreuther. So he continues to stretch away from Harrison Scott. Also quite good news for Scott that the score of the 3rd place has well and truly come alive. There you see Scott's buffer, a lot more comfortable than it was in 2nd at the start of the lap. Weidenreuther navigates the bus-stop chicane as Cardoso again forces Mateus Iorio to defend. The Brazilian parks the car in the middle of the road, blocks out the move from Pedro Cardoso very nicely, and his compatriot struggling to pick his way through as a result. Cardoso might fancy his chances for a lunge into La Source. Indeed he does. Jinks through. Yorio looks to fight back on the switchback and indeed regains the place. It's going to be another fairly almighty sort out along the Kemmel Straight. Cardoso, surely if he can get enough of a toe, should be able to make the move on Mateusz Yorio. There's also might be ground to be gained behind us. Devlin De Francesco in the tow behind Nikita Troitsky. The Russian weaves about. Francesco sees where Troitsky is, and the Canadian gets his nose back in front, relegates the Russian. But as they fight, it brings the white and red Campos car of Thiago Vivacqua into the battle as well. Out to the right-hander, down towards Bruxelles. The road falling away. It teases the cars into an understeer, which they're all able to respond to. Squirming on the throttle, fighting the wheel, Thiago Vivacqua. He's in the turbulent air behind the cars in front. So the order on lap 6, Amaya Weidenreuther leads, Harrison Scott is second. We're watching the fight for third, currently headed by Devlin De Francesco. Then it's Nikita Troitsky with Thiago Vivacqua in 5th. A big gap back to Tarun Reddy in 6th. 7th, Pedro Cardoso. 8th, Mateusz Yorio. 9th, Alex Karkozik. And 10th, Janis Fitcher. Now in the rookie battle, that is De Francesco from Troitsky and Reddy. And there is Tarun Reddy. Finished 6th in the British Formula 3 Championship last year. He's trying to close up onto this ferocious fight for third. It's now back in the hands of Devlin De Francesco. For how long, one wonders. But as De Francesco and Troitsky battle, it is allowing Harrison Scott a little bit of breathing space in second place. At the same time, Harrison Scott, lap upon lap, losing a little bit of ground to Amaya Weidenreuther. So Weidenreuther's lead 1.5 seconds. Scott then 1.7 seconds ahead of De Francesco. Meanwhile, Fitcher now under pressure from Simo Laaksonen. The pair of them found themselves battling a fair amount in Estoril, and so Simo Laaksonen starting to come good as we move into slightly later phase of the race. Now Thiago Vivacqua should have a very good run, this time along the Kemmel Straight on Nikita Troitsky, because Troitsky had lost a fair amount of ground to Devlin De Francesco, and there you see it. Troitsky ducks and weaves. Thiago Vivacqua in the Campos car looks to challenge the Drivex entry of Nikita Troitsky. Troitsky robust in his defence into Lecom on a couple of occasions. Just about holds on to 4th, but it gives Devlin De Francesco now a little bit of breathing space as well, as we are approaching the halfway point of the race. And this is the challenge, when the cars are as evenly matched as they are, as soon as you bob and weave and battle with each other, it just starts to give a little bit of breathing space to the car in front, and can then prove to be very hard work to close down. But Troitsky has withstood that initial thrust from Vivacqua. The question is, now that Devlin De Francesco is released into some clear air, can the Canadian do anything about Harrison Scott in second position? There is Scott, the championship leader. His winning streak to start the season looks like it is on course to come to a close, because Amaya Weidenreuther is really flying. For whatever reason, maybe there's just a slight call on a race setup that hasn't quite worked for Harrison Scott, that has worked for the Carlin drivers. Either way, Amaya Weidenreuther now 2.3 seconds up the road. We've lost Mateusz Yorio out on the far side of the circuit, so Yorio has got into trouble, and this would explain why. Oh, it's that Puot, and around goes the Brazilian, and that, I fear, is going to be destination tyre wall. Crunch, yep, just does the rear left corner. It's a quick place to lose it at Pawn as well, so it gives the place definitively to Pedro Cardoso. So it promotes all those behind, as Yorio out of the car. He hopped over the barriers with elegance. The same can't be said for a couple of local marshals. Now Tarun Reddy released to try and chase down Thiago Vivacqua. The gap between De Francesco and Harrison Scott is the one to watch, because it was 1 second at the line. It looks like a lot less than that as they come down the Kemmel Straight. And so the fight for second position well and truly coming alive now. And Harrison Scott, the pole sitter, the double race winner in Estoril and championship leader, is having a fairly difficult afternoon at the hands of the Carlin Motorsport pair, Vermeer Weidenuythen and Devlin De Francesco. Weidenuythen, our race leader. Scott then in second, De Francesco in third, chasing him. Fourth, Nikita Troitsky. Fifth, Thiago Vivacqua. Then we've got Tyrone Reddy just behind. Then a gap back to Pedro Cardoso, but Cardoso released into clear air. Might now be able to elevate his pace in seventh. Yellow flags, of course, over at Pouhon as they pass the vacated car of Mateus Iorio. And the battle for second well and truly starting to close up once more. Harrison Scott, though, has had a good middle sector on this lap. He gave away half a second to De Francesco through sector 1. He's gained 3/10 of it back through sector 2. What about this third and final sector? Again, it's another long blast punctuated by just a solitary slow corner. It means that Devlin De Francesco coming back onto terms with Harrison Scott. Now, patience is a virtue, and it could be a route to second place here for De Francesco, provided he's not too greedy on the brakes into La Source. It will give him the run then out of the hairpin, down towards Eau Rouge, to challenge Harrison Scott on the Kemmel Straight. That's what we're watching for. Around the hairpin. Nice, positive, solitary turn of the wheel for De Francesco. Minimal corrections. Expressions on the RP Motorsport pit wall kind of say it all. Meanwhile, Simo Laaksonen has concluded his manoeuvre on Janus Fitcher, and now under pressure from the Romanian Petru Florescu in another of the Campos cars. This fight a little bit lower down the field for 10th place and thereabouts. Here is the fight for second. Nobody quite close enough to challenge this time into Les Combes. Pick up the fight once more. And again, De Francesco gained 3/10 on Harrison Scott through sector 1. Through sector 2, though, this is where Scott has his opportunity to gain a couple of tenths. We're on lap 9 of 13, so there's only going to be four more trips rather down the Kemmel Straight. A little bit of a kick sideways from De Francesco, and that suddenly brings Nikita Troitsky into the mix. Through the yellow flag zone at Pouhon, they wouldn't have really been able to overtake there anyway, but this second phase lap for Harrison Scott in second place has certainly been a good one, as Devlin De Francesco sees his mirrors being filled by Nikita Troitsky once more. Then we've got Thiago Vivacqua just adrift. Now Nikita Troitsky, the SMP Racing back driver for DriveX. Let's get the run out of Stavelot on towards the left-hand sweep at Blanchimont. That then feeds them into the bus stop chicane. And the end of the 9th lap of the race. Certainly Troitsky, should he so desire, close enough to ask some questions of De Francesco. Likewise, Devlin De Francesco a little bit nearer to the tail of Harrison Scott once more. Scott just slight dab of oversteer as he came out of the bus stop chicane. There's the race leader Weidenuythen, 2.6 seconds clear of Harrison Scott. It's all about this battle for second place, because there's really a couple of 3 or so cars to be on the podium. Ludovico Laurini pushing just a little bit too hard on the way into the bus stop chicane, and he spins from 16th position. Now here comes the fight for second into the heat haze, steadily climbing uphill along the Kemmel Straight. Scott doesn't make the move, which suggests that De Francesco isn't quite close enough. But he's getting ever nearer, isn't he, Devlin De Francesco? And Harrison Scott just having to absorb this pressure. He's got 3 more runs into Les Combes that he's got to hold on for. Everywhere else around the track, it looks as if Scott has more or less got it covered. It is just that drag up the Kemmel Straight where he looks vulnerable. That's where he lost out to Amea Weidenheithen earlier on. It's now where he risks losing out to Devlin De Francesco late on. The rest of the order fairly steady. Fourth place remains Nikita Troitsky, the second rookie, to De Francesco in fifth, Thiago Vacqua, sixth and third rookie Taryn Reddy. Seventh is Pedro Cardoso, eighth is Alex Karkozik, ninth Eliseo Martinez Morono, 10th Simo Laaksonen, 11th Yanis Vitya, 12th Petru Florescu, 13th Christian Hahn, 14th is Dal Pranenko, 15th Alexei Chuklin and 16th Lodovico Laurini, having of course lost Mateus Iorio from proceedings. This has been a quietly good day actually for the Teo Martin Motorsport team. They've got both Cardoso and Martinez Morono up into point scoring positions. Through Blanchimont once more, and again Nikita Troitsky closes up onto Devlin De Francesco. De Francesco gets a little bit closer still to Harrison Scott as Troitsky snatches a break. De Francesco a little bit offline going through the bus stop chicane. Whether or not that's going to hurt him on the exit, we'll see. Yes, it does. Buys Harrison Scott a car length or two. It means there's suddenly less of a threat this time around into Les Combes as Troitsky navigates La Source without any drama. Just 3 laps to go, including the one that they're on. Swing through Eau Rouge up out of Radillon, and then sweeping around the slight right-hand curve onto the Kemmel Straight. De Francesco closing Harrison Scott. Difficult to see how near he is from this camera angle, which does rather foreshorten the distance between the pair of them. The answer is he gets to within a car length by the time they swoop into Les Combes. It's not quite enough for De Francesco. Meanwhile, behind Alex Karkozik has got Simo Laaksonen and Eliseo Martinez Morono, and it's Laaksonen who's the big winner. He demotes Martinez Morono down into 10th place. It looks as if they were both bottled up a little bit behind Alex Karkozik. Karkozik, whose front wing was knocked slightly loose during his first lap aviation. Therefore, he struggled to make much progress from 8th, but at the same time, he's doing a good job of holding on to the place. And then we've got Petru Florescu in 9th. Yanis Vitya, unfortunately for him, in the Fortec car, has rather faded as the race has unfolded. He's currently set for 12th. As Martinez Morono looks to draw alongside Simo Laaksonen here as they challenge into Fagnes. The Finnish driver, though, covers the inside line. Nothing doing for Martinez Morono. He has to settle for holding station in 10th. Spanish rookie putting in a very impressive performance once more as Nikita Troitsky, again coming out of Blanchimont, has got the opportunity to challenge Devlin De Francesco. De Francesco covers the inside line of the bus stop chicane. And the real frustration here for Devlin De Francesco is that as Troitsky is good through Blanchimont, it just hampers the challenge that the Canadian would like to apply to Harrison Scott as they head out of the bus stop into La Source and then on towards Eau Rouge. But De Francesco a little bit closer to Scott on this occasion. The gap between the pair of them was 0.6 of a second at the line. The road falls away. Just opens up to about 3 car lengths en route to Eau Rouge. Then climb steadily and steeply uphill over the crest at Radillon. This is where the slipstream now starts to take hold on the Kemmel Straight. Is anybody going to be able to take any advantage? This, the penultimate lap of the race, of course. De Francesco certainly not near enough to Harrison Scott, and likewise Nikita Troitsky not really close enough to De Francesco to cause him any bother. But the pace of this fight for second means they've now opened up a lot of ground over Thiago Vacqua in 5th place. And in turn, the Brazilian isn't under any particular pressure from Taryn Reddy in 6th, and Reddy's got the 4.5 second advantage over Pedro Cardoso in 7th. Down into Pouhon for the penultimate time. Now they might just be getting in and amongst a little bit of traffic here. There's Amea Vadenathan. Still pushing hard on the brakes into Fanny. We just caught a glimpse. There it is. Ludovico Larini, I think it is. Let's see whether or not he becomes a factor as well between now and the end of the race. But we're getting into the very, very late stages as Harrison Scott, having absorbed all this pressure throughout the course of the race, looks like, barring a pretty disastrous final lap, that he is going to be set for second position. Devlin De Francesco likewise for third, particularly as Nikita Troitsky not able to close up through Blanchimont as he has done on the previous couple of tours. So across the line goes Amea Vadenathan. He starts the final lap of the race. There is Ludovico Larini up the road ahead of them. Now they may just catch him on the final lap of the race. We'll find out. This is also the point where we'll find out whether or not Troitsky and De Francesco have just been keeping something in reserve. No, they're only going to get one real chance to challenge Harrison Scott on this last lap as Vadenathan accelerates up the crest out of Eau Rouge. What about the gap? Second and third, it's a little bit closer, and De Francesco, this is the best run that he's had for the past 4 or 5 laps. He may be able to do something here about Harrison Scott. Let's see at what point Scott starts to move across and defend. The answer is much earlier than before. He covers the inside line. De Francesco looks to the outside. Harrison Scott makes it look a lot more straightforward than it probably was. He holds on to second position. Devlin De Francesco, though, still snapping at his heels. Nikita Troitsky and Thiago Vivacqua there watching and waiting, particularly as Harrison Scott just slithers wide into the Bruxelles hairpin. Always hard work. Very steep downhill right-hander. Then they kick into the first of a trio of left-handers for swooping down towards Pouhon. Brilliant race this, really. Great to see wheel-to-wheel dicing right at the front of the pack as Vadenathan is going to catch Ludovico Larini before the end of the race. Now that is the last thing that Amea Vadenathan would want. I'm sure that blue flags will be proffered. There is Larini, Vadenathan just behind him. Then this fight for second, third and fourth. It's Nikita Troitsky who's been the star performer through sector 3 throughout the course of proceedings. So will he have something up his sleeve on this last lap to challenge Devlin De Francesco as Amea Vadenathan heads through Blanchimont for the final time. This has been a beautifully judged performance from Amea Vadenathan. Very impressive from the Indian. He doesn't need to force the move on Ludovico Larini. Just hopes the Italian stays out of trouble, which he does, as Vadenathan accelerates out of the final turn. He sees the checkered flag ready and waiting and takes the win in the third Euroformula Open race of the season. Second place goes to Harrison Scott. Third and top rookie for Devlin De Francesco, ahead of Nikita Troitsky, Thiago Vivacqua and Tarun Reddy, who completes the top 6. So great day for the Carlin team as they get all 3 of their cars into the top 6 and celebrate accordingly. 7th place went to Simo Laaksonen, 8th to Alex Karkozic, 9th to Petru Florescu, 10th place to Eliseo Martinez Morono, and Pedro Cardoso, having had a shocker of a last lap, finishes in 11th ahead of Janis Ficia and Daniel Pronenko. Carlin team enjoying the celebrations. Now here is what happened. And there is a move, I think, from Petru Florescu, as running a little bit wide, Eliseo Martinez Morono. So that's what cost Martinez Morono 9th position. Into Parc Ferme and enjoying the celebration. Amea Vadenathan, the Carlin mechanics, having sprinted pretty much the length of the pit lane to come and congratulate their driver. Harrison Scott in second place. Maybe not quite what he would hope for from pole position, but nonetheless, his start to the season, 2 victories and a second place, consolidating his advantage at the sharp end of the championship. And then for Devlin De Francesco, more to celebrate in third. So then at the classification then, Weidenathan, the winner from Harrison Scott. Weidenathan also in fastest lap. Devlin De Francesco, third place and top rookie, ahead of Nikita Troitsky, second rookie in fourth. Thiago Vivacqua in fifth, ahead of Turin Reddy, who completes the rookie podium. So much fighting all the way through the field. It was a thoroughly entertaining race, with Matheus Iorio being the only casualty. So in terms of the championship standings, well, Harrison Scott continues to lead the way, but Weidenathan jumps up into second position, with Troitsky to third and De Francesco in fourth. Smiles all around from Avea Weidenathan. Why not, after a learning season last year? He now triumphs in the Euroformula Open.
Amelia Weidenathan, first win, you must be very, very happy.
Yeah, it's really emotional. I mean, if you look at the effort all the guys over there put in over the winter and just the start of the season, it's just amazing to give it to them, really. It's for them.
And winning in Spa, of course, is always quite nice, such a beautiful track. Nice race. Can you tell us more about this beautiful start?
Yeah, I managed to get a good launch off the line, and I was behind Harrison for the first couple of laps, but I knew that if I kind of stuck with him in the middle sector, I could get a tow and get him back going into Les Combes, which is what happened. And then I just really had to close out what was happening behind me and just nail a few good laps and pull away, which, thanks to the car that the Carlin guys gave me, I was able to do.
Well done, and now podium.
It was championship leader Harrison Scott who had pole position, and he was able to convert that into the lead as they headed towards La Source for the first time. A fast starting Nikita Troitsky, however, couldn't get the jump on Amea Weidenathan. They all made it through safely, at least through the first turn, but then coming out rally on for the first time, Alex Karkozic and Pedro Cardoso took to the skies. Fortunately, both continued as into Les Combes, Nikita Troitsky and Devlin De Francesco set the tone for their race. Very close wheel-to-wheel battling. Slipstreaming eminently possible here at Spa-Francorchamps. There was some great dicing throughout the field. Simon Laxton and Alex Karkozic fought lower down the order. At the front of the pack, early on, Weidenathan was able to get the jump on Harrison Scott, and thereafter Scott was having to keep De Francesco behind him. For Weidenathan, once he was out clear, he was untroubled and scored his maiden victory in the Euroformula Open after a very impressive performance. It was a great day for Carlin, though, as their second driver, Devlin De Francesco, finished third and top rookie behind Harrison Scott, the runner-up. Nikita Troitsky was fourth and second rookie from Thiago Vivacqua, Turin Reddy completing the rookie rostrum in sixth. So after the hard work of the day being completed, the Carlin team getting ready to celebrate with their drivers on the rostrum. A race that sets us up absolutely beautifully for the championship, particularly if Amea Weidenathan can continue this form into tomorrow's race, because we will be back tomorrow, 1:05 Central European time, for the second race of the weekend for the Euroformula Open, and they'll be qualifying for that first thing tomorrow morning. The Carlin team applaud Devlin De Francesco to third place on the rostrum, runner-up championship leader Harrison Scott, and race winner Amea Weidenathan for Carlin Motorsport. The Indian national anthem in honour of Amaya Vaidyanathan here in Spa-Francorchamps, as he claimed the win in the third race of the season. It's a maiden outright podium for Devlin De Francesco. It's a third rostrum in as many races for Harrison Scott. And he salutes the RP Motorsport team. Amaya Vaidyanathan enjoying a very special moment as he celebrates on the top step of the Spa rostrum. And he thoroughly enjoyed that as he hoists the trophy aloft. For Carlin, they are back into winning ways after their successes last year with Colton Herter. Time to pose for the photos on the rostrum before the drivers make merry with the bubbly. Second race of the day gets underway. Let's try and uncork the bottles, and that one is claimed by Harrison Scott. Vaidyanathan celebrates. Devlin De Francesco retaliates. Three very happy drivers. Very enjoyable race as we'll now turn our attention towards the rookie podium. And again, a lot to celebrate for Carlin, with both of their rookie drivers being represented on the rookie rostrum, along with Nikita Troitsky. So third rookie, Tarun Reddy, an excellent drive to sixth place and a fairly comfortable sixth as well. Runner-up in the rookies race was Nikita Troitsky. Slightly frustrating race for Troitsky. Drivex nonetheless, more useful points for the Russian driver. And then Devlin De Francesco, not only third in the race overall, but also the top rookie. Canadian national anthem for Devlin De Francesco, top rookie in race one here in Spa. Tarun Reddy, a really impressive drive to sixth place. Nikita Troitsky in the hunt for the podium throughout the course of the race, as he looks to continue his rookie and overall championship challenge. For Devlin De Francesco, just wonder how long it's going to be before he takes an outright race victory. So a hugely enjoyable race here in Spa State Euroformula Open. We'll be back tomorrow at 1:05. We'll see you then. Until then, goodbye.